Welcome to your dose of wowness. All right, let me ask you something. What if you found a rock that rang like a bell? I mean, seriously, you're out in the middle of nowhere, you grab a hammer, you hit a boulder, and instead of that dead thud you'd expect, you hear this clear musical chime, a sound that has absolutely no business being there.
And get this isn't some hypothetical. This place is real. In a silent, desolate field in Pennsylvania, about 2/3 of the boulders do just that. They ring. But here's where it gets really weird. The boulder right next to a ringing one, it looks the same, it's made of the same stuff, chemically identical. You hit that one. Nothing. Just a dull thud. So what is going on? That's the puzzle.
To really get to the heart of this thing, we've got to go back, way back to a time before we had all our modern gadgets, back to a guy who looked at this mystery and didn't just see a scientific problem, he saw music. Yeah, people have been scratching their heads about this place for a long time. We're talking documented accounts as a tourist spot way back in the 1840s. But the real story, the moment that just perfectly captures the human side of this whole thing, that happens in 1890, thanks to a guy named Dr. J.J. Ott. See, where everyone else saw a geological riddle, this guy, he saw an orchestra. He didn't just study the mystery, he conducted it. I mean, can you imagine the sheer dedication? This was Dr. J.J. Ott, a local doctor and musician. He goes out to this field day after day, tapping on these giant rocks with a hammer, just listening. He's literally mapping out the notes. Okay, this one's a C sharp, that one's an A flat. Then he actually gathers an ensemble, hands them all hammers, and leads them in playing actual songs for a crowd. In 1890, this was, and I mean this quite literally, the world's first rock concert. Okay, so a rock concert is amazing, but it doesn't solve the mystery of why they ring in the first place. So let's fast forward and see what science had to say about it.
So what exactly is this sound? Well, it's a clear metallic tone that you can hear from like 50 meters away, and it hangs in the air for a second or two. But the crazy part is the rock itself. It's called diabase, and it's a super common igneous rock, the kind that, well, it just doesn't ring, ever. And yet, this one does. Not only does it ring, but it has this complex harmonic structure with overtones, just like a well-made musical instrument. It's not just a ding, it's a whole musical event happening inside the stone.
All right, so for a long time, science had two leading theories that honestly made a lot of sense. The first one is all about internal stress. So picture this. These rocks were born from molten magma, cooling really slowly. As it solidified, this created massive internal tension, like a coiled spring, locked right into the rock's crystal structure. Then, fast forward to the Ice Age, you've got glaciers, literally miles thick, grinding and scraping over this exact spot, putting even more unbelievable pressure on these boulders. So the idea was that this whole violent history, the cooling, the freezing, the crushing, basically tuned the rocks on a molecular level, allowing them to resonate. And the second theory? It's called contact geometry. Think of a bell. If you grab it with your whole hand and hit it, you just get a dull thud. But if you hang it or just hold it by a tiny loop at the top and then strike it, it rings beautifully. The theory here is that these boulders are piled up in such a way that they're only touching each other at a few tiny points. This would let the massive surfaces of the rock vibrate freely, just like a suspended bell. For decades, it seemed like the answer had to be one of these two things. Everything seemed to be pointing in one of those two directions. And then, the 1960s happened. One geologist comes along with a ridiculously simple experiment. An experiment that didn't just poke a hole in the theories, it blew them completely out of the water. His name was Richard Foss, a geologist at Lafayette College, and he decided to question the most fundamental assumption of all, that the sound was coming from the rock, that the ringing was a property of the rock itself. And what he found, well, it became the single most important and still unexplained piece of this entire puzzle. Okay, follow this, because it is just wild. The Foss removal experiment. Step 1. He goes into the field and confirms a specific rock rings. Ding! Perfect. Step 2. He physically removes that very same rock and takes it to his lab. Step 3. He strikes the rock in the lab. And nothing. Just a dead thud. The sound is gone. So you'd think, okay, maybe moving it released the stress or something, right? But then comes step 4. He takes the rock back to the field and puts it in the exact same spot he found it. And step 5, he strikes it again, and it rings. The sound is back. This changes everything. The ringing is not in the rock. Think about it. If it were internal stress or something about its composition, that property would stay with the rock no matter where it went. But it doesn't. The sound isn't in the rock. So what does that mean? Foss put it perfectly. It is a property of the rock in its place. The magic isn't just the object, it's the object's connection to its location. Something about that specific spot in that specific field is what lets the rock sing. You take it away from its home, and it loses its voice. So if the answer isn't the rock, but the place, you have to wonder, is this place in Pennsylvania the only one? Or is this happening somewhere else? And it turns out this phenomenon is global. There are other ringing rocks in Montana made of the same kind of stuff. In England, you have the musical stones of Skiddaw. They were so famous they were actually played in concerts for Queen Victoria. And maybe most incredible of all, archaeologists are finding prehistoric lithophones all over the world. These are acoustic rocks that ancient humans found, marked, and used as instruments. The same impulse Dr. Ott had, it's ancient. We've been finding the rocks that sing for thousands of years. So where does that leave us? With a huge question mark. What fundamental principle of geology, or heck, maybe even physics, are we totally missing? We know the ringing isn't in the rock, but is a property of the rock in its place. What does place even mean in physics? It points to some kind of interaction, some relationship between an object and its specific environment that we don't understand yet. 38 days, 38 deep dives into the weird, the unexplained, and the genuinely wondrous. Thank you for being here and for trusting us with your time. It is the fuel for this whole project. Please subscribe to Your Dose of Wowness. We are here every day. Tomorrow, we go from a mystery locked in stone to one swallowed by water. We're going to the Bermuda Triangle. See you then?